Right, Clown Darpo, good afternoon all and welcome. I think as usual, especially as we've got quite a few new people, if we go down and say who we are again. So maybe if I start off.
Richard White, Newtown Town Council, representing Montgomery-shire.
Jonathan Goulden, independent lay member.
Russ Tapatoli, independent lay member. Stewart, independent lay member.
Stephen Hayes, independent lay member. And if we start at the top with Claire.
Claire Moore, independent lay member.
Liz.
Councillor Liz Reinenberg. I'm a Powys County Council member and I represent Brecon East in the normal scheme of things.
Ian.
Hi everybody, Councillor Ian McIntosh, County Council for the Oscar Award, just north of Brecon.
Clive.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Clive Pinney. I'm the head of legal services for the council and the council's monitoring officer.
And last but not least, Debbie.
Afternoon, everybody. Debbie Jones, professional lead for legal services and deputy monitoring officer.
That's great. Thanks very much. I don't think we've got any apologies.
Yes, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Matt Beecham.
Okay. The following is the chair to sign the minutes of the previous committee meeting as a correct record. Has everybody had a look at the minutes on the previous standards?
Yeah.
Anybody have any observations upon that?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so it authorises the chair to sign the minutes. We have a proposer. Thank you, Claire. Seconder, Nigel. Great, thank you. Are there any declarations of interest?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. And to receive any declarations related to items to be considered on the agenda? Said no. Right, that means we go on to the report of the head legal and monitoring officer.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. On the papers before you on page 3 of the main bundle, you'll see the report. The first matter which comes out in the report is a report to the committee with regard to code of conduct training. Members will recall that we did a session with Beth Evans on the 16th of May. There were 8 members who couldn't attend that, but I'm pleased to tell you everybody's now undertaken the training. So really grateful for the support from Carol in arranging for that training to take place. Chair, the next item on the report refers to referrals which have been made to the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales. They are self-explanatory. You'll see that the Ombudsman has indicated that all but one they're not going to investigate, but there is one which is 4CC 2021, which they're investigating. We don't know what the outcome of that is going to be at this moment in time, but we'll come back and report the outcome in due course.
Chairman, may I just ask a question on that? Clive, I noticed the reference on some of these is 2021. And obviously we are now towards the end of 2022. It would be helpful to just have to have an indicative timetable on some of these complaints. I appreciate that if there is a delay, that is not a delay at this end.
Yep.
But I think it's useful for the committee to know how long it takes the Ombudsman to consider.
Jonathan, I wish I could give you a timetable. All that we can do at this moment in time is say that these matters have been with the Ombudsman for some considerable period of time. It's becoming the norm, regrettably, for there to be long delays. And some of these, have been in since 2021. So number one, of course, has been in for such a long time. It's the first, which the ombudsman complaint which they had then. The one is outstanding is 04. I believe that will be coming to fruition shortly, but I can't give you an indication of what the timetable is. We've been saying this for, well, probably last 4 or 5 months. And it is, quite rightly, as you said, Jonathan, outside of our control, unfortunately.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I regret well, may I suggest it's something which the committee keeps its eye on over the course of the next 12 months.
It is unfortunate, but it's not uncommon. I think we've had them 2 years before now, and it's something that's always concerned the Standards Committee. And perhaps maybe sometime, if we set this national forum gets going,
yes,
it's something we can push through there.
Thank you.
Okay, so carry on, Clive.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. The next item on the agenda is dispensations, the details of which you'll see are in Appendix 1 to the report. Chair, Powys County Council Standards Committee has traditionally been quite proactive in considering on a termly basis, and that's once every council term, what dispensations it considers should have. We have a number of those which are set out in the appendix. They are the ones which have historically been granted by this committee. But every council term, they disappear. And it's up to this committee to consider whether or not they feel that those dispensations which have traditionally been granted should be granted again. My strong advice to this committee is that they are appropriate and we should put them back in place.
Does anybody want to make any comments?
Do you intend to go through each one by one, or to take them on block?
Take them on block is what we normally do, Jonathan. Yeah. Hopefully it'll still require a proposer and a seconder from within the committee, though.
I've got a question on delegation of non-controversial applications, if I may, to Clive. Clive, should that delegation be the other way around? Should it be to the monitoring officer in consultation with the chairman and vice chairman? Just thinking of section 101 of the.
So which general dispensation are you looking at? Sorry, Jonathan.
On page 17, 510.
Jonathan, we believe that the delegation should be addressed from the committee to the chair and vice chair, but they should make the decision in consultation, i.e., upon taking advice from the monitoring officer. So I think it's still correct.
I just wonder if that complies with the 72 Act, that you can delegate to a committee or to an officer.
Well, the decision making is being delegated to the chair and vice chair. The consultation bit, I as monitoring officer do not get involved in the decision making process, only advise on it.
I think this is a very technical point I'm raising, and I'm not seeking to amend the substance in effect of the decision making process, but merely just thinking whether it's possible to delegate to a chair and vice chair as a matter of law.
Perhaps you and I can have a discussion outside this meeting.
But you know, subject to that, Chair, more than happy with the intent of that delegation. Could I just ask Clive, are you able to give an example of these dispensations are extensive in their nature, in terms of their topics. Could you just give an example, perhaps in relation to the renewable energy one, of a situation where it was right for a member to speak, even though to give the line between where a member should not take advantage of the dispensation and when they should?
These have come across as a result of historical problems which we as a council have come across from time to time, Jonathan. And in essence, what we've done is look at each situation as it stands at the time, and thought it appropriate then. I can't really answer and give an example as you've asked. But in terms of renewable energy, that one probably hasn't been utilised for, oh gosh, for a number of years.
Yeah.
And you know, but what I wouldn't want to do is to take it away just in case we do need it going forward, because you really don't know when you're gonna find yourselves in situations where the vast majority or a high proportion of members of council can't vote. We had that last year in terms of the wool one, which is the last one which we did. And I'm hoping you can just bear with us and keep them in place for this moment in time. And of course, as I said, we haven't used it for such a long time.
I think, Chairman, the sense in which I got from reading the papers, it's really to assist the councillor who has a family connection in a business which might be affected by one of the topics, but they themselves are not necessarily going to derive a direct financial benefit, and therefore I could understand. I mean, clearly the code provides for, you know, there is a, you know, quite a detailed set of tests about what is a personal and what is a prejudicial interest. And these are prejudicial interests which are being permitted, and therefore should be under some degree of scrutiny in terms of how many times they are actually called upon. I think for the renewable energy one, I'm content that that should remain even though it hasn't been used, because we still don't know whether there's going to be a change in government policy on onshore wind turbines. So that situation might suddenly arise again. So subject to my somewhat anarchy point about the non-controversial dispensation wording, I myself am content that the dispensations be continued, as long as perhaps we could know how many times they are actually called in aid by councillors. That assists us to know whether they're still relevant.
Yes,
Thank you, Jonathan. We can certainly do that, and we can bring a report back to standards at a future date. Insofar as the item, the delegation point is concerned, I can tell you that we certainly have not used that in all my time as a monitoring officer. So it's something which, as far as I'm concerned, I've never used.
Right. Does anybody else wish to?
Could I just quickly come in, Chair? Yes, thank you. Now, on the same point, really, sorry to dwell on this point further, but it's relating to 5.10 that we're talking about. And it says that committee delegate non-controversial applications for dispensation to the chair and vice chair and so on. I'm just wondering who decides whether an application is controversial or not? What's the sort of threshold, or
Well, Councillor Ian, I can say to you is that the chair and vice chair would, in consultation with myself, would decide whether it's controversial or not. And as I indicated a few moments ago, we have never done it in my time as monitoring officer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just picturing the scene where somebody says it's controversial, somebody else says it doesn't, and
Ian, you and I know that those sorts of things can be problematic.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's a judgment call. I would hope that in any circumstances where there was even a modicum of issue as to whether or not it was non-controversial or not, we would not use that power. We'd come back and have that discussion before the Standards Committee. It has to be pretty straightforward for that to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else on this coming in remotely wish to say anything?
No, just, sorry, Chair.
Yes, please, Claire.
Sorry, yeah, I just agree with Jonathan. It would be great to know how those dispensations are used in the future. But no, I'm in agreement with those dispensations. I think members must be enabled to take, full part in discussions at committee.
Yes, because they often have valuable information.
Mm.
Anybody else? No.
No, thank you.
Okay, so looking to take this forward. Anybody propose to accept these dispensations?
Accept, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Seconder?
I see.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's the independent.
Oh, sorry.
Which is not on the main committee, it's on the subcommittee.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's what I've got, yeah.
On the other
Thank you,
members.
that's all. Back to you, Clive.
Thank you, Chair. You'll see from C2 of the report that there's been no applications for dispensation to be considered by today. The next item on the report is the Ombudsman's casebook. Chair, there was a brand new casebook which was issued dealing with equalities last Thursday. Obviously, we weren't able to get that in this report, but we will circulate it and incorporate that as part of the report for the next occasion. But there was a brand new one last Thursday.
Okay. Good.
Chair, National Standards Forum. This proves to be something which we hope that there was going to be a meeting on Thursday of this week. But unfortunately, because at least 50% of the chairs of other local authorities weren't able to attend that meeting has been cancelled. I gave you a heads up about that last Friday, Chair. Just to sort of give you a heads up, and I think I did see an email this morning where that was confirmed. There's been no date, as far as I can set, a new date set yet, but we'll keep you informed as and when we hear.
Thank you. Yes, I think they were looking at the end of January.
Yeah. This was discussed in a meeting of the 22 monitoring officers from Welsh local authorities last Friday, and as over 50% of their chairs were unable to attend for various reasons, and lots of them said their chairs wanted to attend. It was just commitments elsewhere prevented that from happening. It was thought that it would be advantageous for it to be delayed. So and that was the reasoning behind it. And you can see the more the merrier that we can get at those meetings, the better.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, can I just, yeah, I just noticed this morning that they've just circulated the recording from the conference we attended back in February.
Yes.
Right.
So obviously a time delay, but it would be really good if we could circulate that, because I'm conscious we've got some new members on the committee, and I think they'd find it useful to have a little listen into that, time permitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that.
Chair, the next item on the agenda is for the appointment by this committee of 3 members, 1 county council member plus 2 independent members to a new standards committee which is being formed for the Mid Wales Corporate Joint Committee. The 2021 Act basically required local authorities to set up a CJC, a Corporate Joint Committee, dealing with various functions. And those functions are transferred to the CJC. We are part of the Mid Wales Corporate Joint Committee, formed with Powys and Ceredigion. The CJC has been in effect since the summer of this year. We're now required to put in place a standards committee, which will consist of representatives from both Powys Standards Committee and Ceredigion Standings Committee. And Chair, I did send an email around asking for expressions of interest. And I'd be grateful if we could appoint 1 council member and 2 independent members, please, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
I'd ask for nominations, seconders, and then a vote.
Right. Initially, I think 2 of us responded.
Yep.
To that by email, but I don't know if anybody else wanted to put their name forward.
I didn't get an email,
Ah,
but it doesn't matter. But that's okay. I didn't get the email.
yes.
Sorry, Claire.
That's okay.
You should have had it.
No, I didn't get it, but no problems.
Well, so far, Russell and I have put our names forward, but obviously, if anybody else wants to, then
That's fine.
No, happy with that.
Happy with that. Yep.
yeah.
So that's the 2 independent members, Chair. We do need a 1 county council member. So can I have a nomination, please, and a seconder for a council member to that CJC?
Right.
I'll put myself forward.
Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Can I just ask, do you have some terms of reference or further information about the committee? Clive?
Liz, it is basically a standards committee for the CJC. It's the terms of reference will be the same as this. And I'm pleased to tell you really that the terms of reference for that committee are based more or less upon our own code of conduct. There are a few tweaks, but as I drafted the constitution for the CJC, it's basically our constitution with as slightly amended.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
So, Chair, could I have a seconder and a vote, please?
I'm happy to second that, Chair.
Yeah, Ian and Jonathan on the second. Right. Have we got? Did we do the vote for the independent? For the independents? I think we have to have a proposal and a seconder. I don't think we did that.
I thought we did, but perhaps we didn't.
I don't think we did it formally. I think it was
we didn't do it formally.
So can we have a proposal and a seconder?
May I propose Russell and Stephen as the independent lay members
Thank you.
on the CJC?
And I'll second. Thank you, Nigel.
And a vote by silence, or vote by show of hands, whichever you want.
Are we allowed to vote?
That's it, isn't it? Proposal and a seconder.
Oh, you need a vote as well.
Yeah, do we? Oh, right.
Yes.
Can we vote?
Yes, of course you can.
Oh,
Right.
Thank you ever so much.
That's for the independents and for the
Yes.
So the councillors.
Thank you ever so much, members. Thank you very much. Chair, that's the end of the report, though I think that there is an AOB which I'd like to put on the agenda, which is in relation to a revision to the council's whistleblowing policy. I'm not sure, Carol, because I asked you to send this around last week, and unfortunately you were away when we did so. There is a new whistleblowing policy which is being circulated, and I know members will not have had the opportunity of looking at it, and I wondered whether it would be I could beg your assistance in asking members to look at it offline and to let us have any comments.
yeah.
Yeah, I have emailed it to everybody, Clive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very quick scan through, and my initial thoughts were that on 8.3, it said a manager with no prior involvement. I was thinking maybe it should be a senior manager with no connection, just so that it can be absolutely clear that the person investigating has absolutely no connection with the matter in concern.
Happy to take that on board, Chair. Thank you. Members, as I said, I because of the late arrival of the documentation, it would be too much to ask for you to have read it before now. So if you could take it away and hopefully come back to us by the close of this week, that would be wonderful.
Where do we indicate any observations? Direct to Clive?
Yes, please.
Fine.
The other two options there, I don't know whether anybody else might be interested or not. On 8.5.2, whether the whistleblower says he can have a union rep or a colleague, but could they also have a legal representative?
No, Chair. We would not want to encourage whistleblowers to have legal representatives at such meetings unless there was a professional reason for doing so. We don't allow, and our policies don't allow legal representation for ordinary grievance meetings or for unless there's a professional reason for that to happen. Most of these don't involve sort of that. So when I say professional reasons, so if the grievance had an impact upon the individual's professional ability to continue working in that job, for instance, if it's a complaint about me and my ability to continue as working as a solicitor, well, I might in those circumstances want to have be legal representatives, and same for social workers and for teachers, and that sort of thing.
Okay, and the other thought was that should there be an option for the investigating officer to be from a neighbouring council?
Sorry, Chair.
To be so that it's totally independent.
That can happen, and and sometimes we do appoint independent people to do that sort of thing. So that is an option already.
Okay, thank you. So I haven't read it all through, but that was what I just picked up.
Chair, so can I leave it with members that they will help in reading the documentation and come back with any comments?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, and once again, apologies for its late arrival, which was due to me not appreciating that Carol wasn't around. So apologies.
Okay, now would be a good time to go on to this proposed work programme. Who organised that, Secretary? Who wrote out the work programme?
That was Debbie and myself.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Chair. Sorry, it was sorry, it was Carol and myself, based on the discussions we'd had during the training in the last meeting. So we'd populated it with the roles and responsibilities. So you'll see that where we discussed, you'll recall in the training, we discussed the responsibilities that the committee have. We thought we'd set those out in the forward work programme to ensure that we're covering all the aspects of roles and responsibilities. So there's some of them that we've maintained in the monitoring officer report that Clive produces, so we can update you because they change quite frequently. Whereas in terms of the more so, for example, assisting members to observe the code, and I know we'd spoken about group leaders' duties, we thought we'd put that in the forward work programme so we could review that separately rather than it being a report from Clive. So we've populated it with what we thought would be a helpful way to look forward, but obviously it's a draft at this stage. So over to you.
Joan, I very much welcome this report and thank you to Debbie and to Carol for preparing it. I do view it as being of assistance to a committee such as this to have and I hope it actually assists officers in terms of planning preparation for committee, that at each committee meeting we have an understanding of the particular areas that we will wish to focus on, and I think the columns, topic, objective, who is responsible and outcome is very helpful in terms of thinking how are these to be achieved. In relation to the group scrutiny of a group leader's duties, I do think it would be helpful not only to have a short report from the group leaders, but to invite them to attend in person. Now, that may very well be, I'm not expecting that to happen necessarily at a particular committee meeting. It very may well be that that is an activity that needs to be spread out over the course of the municipal year. So that's something which I think can be usefully discussed on the 8th of February in terms of form and format. But I would welcome you as chair being in a position of inviting the group leaders to attend one of the committee meetings, and perhaps they may wish to attend separately rather than collectively. I do see this as being a discussion between the committee and each group leader, and they will have very different styles, no doubt, as how they see their duties as being discussed. I don't think one size fits all on this, and I think I welcome the opportunity for us as committee members to hear and understand the group leaders' individual perspectives on this piece of on this measure and how they see them carrying it out.
Okay, Debbie, I think you were going to look at group leaders' duties and see if there was any guidance or suggestions that we could give to group leaders as to what we're looking for, because the legislation is silent on that. I think I sent you something that I thought of, but whether it was any good or not, I don't know.
Oh, you sent me something, Stefan.
Yeah, you replied
sorry.
to it.
Oh, oh, sorry. I've completely missed that one. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a form that maybe the group leaders could use.
Clive's
Chair,
got his hand up.
If I can come in, Chair, I've also put forward a form which has been circulated to other monitoring officers, drafted by Flint. And what I can do is to circulate to members. It acts as an aid memoir for members to populate during the course of the year, so that at the end of the year, when they come to speak to standards about what they've done in order to encourage the good conduct of their members, they have something in place which they can populate throughout the year. So it's something which I can do as well, perhaps Stefan, if you send me your version of it as well, we can combine them both.
Okay, if it's of any good, I'm happy to send it. So, Nigel?
Yeah, just one thing, following on from the request from Claire and Jonathan, do we need to add a new item to the year for relating to the dispensations?
No, it's only once a council term. So every new council you've got to have the dispensations put back in place, but we can perhaps once a year have a record of what dispensations, if any, been used during the previous 12 months.
Thank you, Clive. And it's that second part of the process that I'm suggesting that we put onto the onto this schedule.
Happy to do that, and we can do that once a year, probably after each financial year, so that probably in the June meeting that would be most appropriate. Chair, if it's okay with you, you'll see that the whistleblowing policy is put in for February. I've preempted it to some extent by bringing it now, because we're in the process of redrafting it. But what it would also be good to have is a report to Standards Committee about the numbers of whistleblowing which is undertaken in the previous year, and no detail of the discussions on what they're about, just the numbers and what the outcomes are.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me.
And if we could put that into the June meeting, that would be useful as well, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments on the proposed work programme?
Can I just thank Carol and Debbie for putting that together? It takes a bit of thought getting one's views into place. And thank you for the committee for asking for it to be done for the first time. So really pleased with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Is there anything else for the Standards Committee? Work programme. No? Unless there's nothing else, that will then conclude the meeting of the Standards Committee.
So Chair, I'll pause the recording now and then restart it for the subcommittee.
Chair, the only thing is to note the dates of the next meetings, which are the 8th of February, the 14th of June, and the 25th of October for next year.
Yeah.
Could you just repeat those, please, Clive?
The 8th of February,
Yeah.
14th of June, and the 25th of October, all at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, if that suits members.
Okay.
Could I just ask Carol to circulate those via Outlook so that we got them in our diaries? Because next year's filling up a lot. I'd hate to commit to something else if this is.
Yeah, they should already be in the diary, I think, Carol.
They are, I think.
I think there are diary markers in.
Oh, they are,
yes. Yes. I'll certainly check for you, but I think I have sent the diary markers.
Thank you, Carol.
Can I just check, does everyone stay for the subcommittee meeting, or is that just the councillors that have been nominated to the subcommittee?
It's normally just the councillor that's been nominated to the subcommittee.
Yeah.
So that's not me.
That's Councillor Ian, I believe.
Yeah, okay. I'll go then. So
okay, Liz.
Thank you,
very much
Liz.
for your contribution.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Going back